Hello there, kia ora. Wednesday was a fascinating day to sit down and watch politics because a lot happened, knowing full well that Thursday was going to be a day that pushes everything off the headlines because it's Anzac Day, which is kind of a sacrosanct day when it comes to politicising things and what gets published. So anything that happened on the Wednesday, well, MPs knew that by the Thursday it would be gone from front page headlines. Usually. And the day started off with a couple of really interesting headlines around information breaches that had been leaked to the media. One included a $6 billion fund for the cleanup from Cyclone Gabriel last year being cancelled as part of the way that the National Party wants to pay its tax cuts for landlords. At the same time, there was reports that came out that PwC had been hired by former DHBs to go through and slash and burn a whole bunch of costs to try and get their budgets down, which I'm sure is going to go really well when you tell medical people what to do because of finances. Nothing could ever possibly go wrong with that. Then that all kind of got pushed off the headlines when the Prime Minister fired 2 MPs. And what this shows is while he sits there and says, strong leadership and this is how I roll and I've got to get my aces in their spaces, the corporate jargon is ridiculous here. But it shows that he made a classic blunder, the most famous of which is never get involved in a land war in Asia. But when it came to the parliamentary blunder that he made, he mistook confidence and competence with these 2 particular MPs. And this is a really fascinating one, because you see, when it comes to broadcasting, Melissa Lee should be pretty damn competent. She's been the spokesperson in opposition for 6 years. She knows the portfolio. She worked in the industry itself. She's been in Parliament longer than the Prime Minister, so the excuse that they need senior MPs for these particular roles doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And on a personal level, both her and Christopher Luxon share a disdain for people from South Auckland. So it seems quite clear that what he mistook for competence, she lacked in confidence. And that could be seen really specifically with her interviews after the Fallen News Hub and the media asking what the government was looking at doing. When it came to Penny Simmons, it was almost the opposite. You see, Penny does have a disabled child, and so her as the spokesperson for Whaikaha, the minister in charge of that, kind of makes sense in that she's got personal experience in the field. But the fact that she didn't tell the government or the caucus was specifically around cabinet what was happening with funds back in December when she found out that apparently they're not going to have enough money to do what they want to do, that's a really bad sign when it comes to competence. But she was confident enough to get up into the House and start blaming carers and people with disabilities for there not being enough money because they're going off doing things like flights and massages and getting their nails done. The 2 of them mistook confidence and competence. And for a Prime Minister like Chris Luxon, who's very CEO, that's a really bad combination. And it's a really common mistake for CEOs to mix the 2 of them up. Like really scaringly common. So what ended up happening on Wednesday was a whole bunch of changes that get pushed off the headlines on Thursday because it's such an important sacrosanct day for everybody else. So when next week starts rolling around, everything else is clean away and nobody needs to worry about what happened last week and we can start again afresh, apparently. So it's really important to make sure you remember these things happening because, well, if MPs had their way, people would be forgetting about it pretty damn fast.